Hey, John.
Hey, Eric. How you doing tonight?
Doing all right? Well, so what's on the docket for tonight? We're gonna just kind of wing it.
Well, so I was listening to a podcast yesterday, I think, and it reminded me of something that I enjoyed on that. So I thought that since we're just kind of experimenting here, we could maybe do the same. And that was the podcast was Smashing Security, and one of the things that they do at the beginning, or at least they did at the beginning of yesterday, is they said something fun, something they learned this week, something they used, something that they thought would be interesting.
All right.
Anything, it doesn't have to be security related, just something that you maybe got a chance to use or play with or learn.
All right, hit me.
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay, well...
We can rock, paper, scissors for who goes first.
use the little IoT buttons you did.
Yeah.
So mine was it's a game that my brother gave us for Christmas, and it did not arrive in time for Christmas because, well, he's not so awesome at planning. But it is called Shadows over Camelot, and it was it's a board game that one of the things that I like about games, because I have two boys, and we play competitive games. It's cool. It's good. I think instilling a spirit of competition is one of my duties, but it's also very fun to be on the same team and do a cooperative game where we're kind of fighting against the game mechanics, if you will. And so this is a cooperative game that you're the Knights of the Round Table, and you're trying to find the Lancelot's armor and find the Holy Grail and find Excalibur before you lose the battles to the Picts or various other quests. And so it's we're on our second playthrough at the moment. We got our behinds handed to us the first time we played, but we're enjoying it, and I think that's going to be a keeper.
Awesome. So
how about you?
Sorry, I missed the beginning. So is it a board game or a card game?
A board game.
A board game.
Well,
and
one of the
cooperative board game.
One of those, I think they might call them European games that, kind of like, did you ever play Settlers of Catan?
Yeah. Okay.
Or something like that. I mean, Settlers is obviously competitive, but there's lots of games in that. So Castle Panic is another one that is cooperative like this, as is I can't remember the name of it. It's got disease, and basically disease is spreading across the globe, and you have to work together to contain it. And pandemic. Sorry, is
I was picking a word.
Yeah. Thanks. Contagion is probably a good one, but yeah. No, it's a board game. Lots of little pieces and swords and knights that you move around and.
Well, I'll have to ping my buddy, one of my college roommates. So forever ago, one of my college roommates runs a website called The Board Game Family, and he and his family play board games, and they get games shipped to them from various companies, and they play them and then post videos on YouTube. And I'm sure he's played it. I'll have to ping him on it.
It doesn't look like it was a newer game. I think the manual, I think, want to say was copyright 2006 or something like that. So it's not newer, but it's new to us. And first run through was fun. Hopefully second run through we'll win.
There you go. All right. So mine, I'll just start reading some of the things. It's just think of what it possibly could be. A $16,000 artificial intelligence powered laundry folding machine.
I think I did see some headlines for that, although I never clicked into any of them.
Yes, I saw this and I watched the video. It's called the Laundroid, of course, because what else are you going to name it? And it's a AI robot where you feed a shirt into this kind of big box or pants or whatever, And not only does it fold it, it sorts it properly.
What do you mean by sort? By
color
or by size or what?
By whatever you want it to sort by. Obviously, this is not something that...
So you don't have personal experience with this yet?
No, I just have video. And I never bought any Bitcoin, so there's no way I can afford $16,000 anyways. But, it's in the early stages because after you feed the shirt in, it takes about 15 minutes to fold it. Because it scans it and sends pictures of it up to the cloud, the air quote, the cloud, for... like hundreds of pictures on sizes and angles and everything else, and it artificially, so it doesn't know what you're feeding it. It's not like, you have chips in your clothes and it knows, well, this is Eric's, blue t-shirt. I already know how to fold it. It figures it out every time. Or it learns, I guess. It is an artificial intelligence.
That is.
Anyways, there's a different model that behaved slightly differently that was for only $980, I think. But neither of them are out yet, not till 2019. But that one I thought was really kind of cool.
Are you going to make me go watch one of those videos now, huh?
You do have to go watch one of the videos now, especially because then they can speed up the 15 minutes. So if I was at CES, I don't think I'd sit around for 15 minutes. I'd just watch the videos.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Anyways. That was the fun that I saw today that thought was kind of goofy.
That is hilarious. So you didn't buy any Bitcoin, huh? Maybe it's a good thing you didn't buy last week or 2 weeks ago.
No. Yeah, and I'm waiting to hear from the friends and neighbors, my non-tech friends and neighbors who all kind of hopped in on the Bitcoin craze, what their opinions are now. I think for those of you who haven't been paying attention, Bitcoin was at just shy of 20,000 a month ago, and it's just shy of 10,000 now. So lost half its value.
Of course, it went up from 700 a year ago.
Yeah, so it's still up ridiculous if you're a long time holder of Bitcoin. But one of the... Where was it? Oh, you sent that. You sent me that article of how Bitcoin, obviously now with Bitcoin, I guess there's several things from a security perspective that are interesting in Bitcoin is with the advent of Bitcoin miners, there is now botnets and malware that attack Bitcoin miners, not to destroy or use, but to basically replace the address that you earn Bitcoin on to their own. And then they just sit there and then just make sure that's theirs. Or
it's a
Ethereum.
Targeted attack. That the only thing that you want to change in this is the configuration of what wallet to, or
exactly.
What do they call the co-ops that are all mining together?
Mining pools.
A mining pool. Sorry. Yeah. So what mining pool you're working for?
Yeah. And what was interesting about the article I think you pinged me with was they're using a modified version of the Mirai botnet from, what was that, about a year ago.
Oh.
They're using a modified version of that doesn't use, default username as passwords. It actually uses known vulnerabilities in the device firmware. And so they found some of these miners that have firmware vulnerabilities, and that's how they got in and spread, through miners. And it's not like you can take your miner offline. The whole point of the miner is it's connected to the internet, and it's a peer-to-peer piece. And once it's peer-to-peer, it can happily share your malware amongst all its peers. So it spreads rapidly.
Talk about a targeted attack. It just goes to the old axiom about why do they rob banks?
Because that's where the money is. Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, you can imagine the motivation for going in and swapping that out. I would think that you would be able to track down, at least to a certain extent. You know, Bitcoin can be traced for who pays what. So you know, if all of if those are going to a central wallet or you know, a set of wallets, it seems like you might be able to trace where that's actually going to. But
I haven't read into the details of how it's actually doing it, but you know, once you've got, you know, it's probably not going to the same wallet, probably going to a new wallet, or each miner is infected with a new wallet key. Mm-hmm. So it's going to probably hundreds of them, and someone's just got a program that manages that and pulls, you know, the 0.001 Bitcoin off of each one randomly as it comes in and runs it through some kind of money laundering techniques on the blockchain. Either exchanges it for another cryptocurrency or just leaves it as Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, that's was that Coin Hive? Is that the JavaScript?
Yes.
That was you know, a couple weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago. I guess it was the end of October or something like that it first came out. But I was seeing some stuff about that as late as maybe even a couple weeks ago. Wasn't there a Starbucks in South America that somebody had hacked into their Wi-Fi, and anybody who had connected to the Wi-Fi, it was injecting.
Yeah, it was injecting. So just kind of go to Starbucks and mine Bitcoin for me.
They're turning that more quote unquote legit though, right? Monetization for some websites.
Well, that's an open question, and maybe that's one that, you know, you might be willing to have a conversation about. Is, would you be willing to exchange ads for a website? Say your favorite news site or whatever that has the annoying ads. Would you trade those annoying ads if you allowed that website to run CoinHive on your browser while you were viewing, you know, the website, the document or whatever?
I would be more willing. I gotta say, I would probably be more willing to let that chunk of JavaScript run in the background that didn't have anything visible, so long as it didn't, impede my ability to view the page. Then I would have like ads in front of me. But the where I think it would cross the line for me is that I am not. I don't practice good tab hygiene. If you look at my Chrome tabs at the moment, you know, I do actually see two and a fraction of the third letter for the titles. So I don't have as many tabs as I have had, but I still have got to have at least 20, 25 tabs open maybe. And so, you know, if it's while I'm reading, I would be keen. I would be willing to trade that for lack of distraction ads, because it's not seen. But if it continues to run even when the tab isn't in the foreground, then I would not want that. So that would be sort of where I would want to draw the line, because I wouldn't want to have it continue. I know that I would forget, and you know, I don't want to track who's doing that kind of stuff, and nor would I think any quote unquote normal person. So
yeah, and Chrome already keeps my CPU plenty busy for no apparent reason, as far as I can tell. Anyways,
it sure does. I don't know. I've had a couple times lately where I've switched over to Safari a couple times. I don't know if they were like Chrome. You know, Chrome updates itself whenever it pleases. Right. And I've had probably 2 or 3 times in the last month where the link goes to Chrome, but then Chrome doesn't open it. And I don't know why. I haven't been able to debug it. But it seems to particularly happen on WebEx links. So I'll click over and Chrome will just pop up and it'll show the WebEx link in the bar, but it'll just show the Google search box, and just doesn't want to go there. But if I copy and paste the URL into Safari, it works fine.
Strange.
Yeah. Anyway, Chrome.
Yeah.
It's always, I think, my number one battery user.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's why I wonder if from a security perspective or from a, ad blocking, that they'll start now having to push Bitcoin miner blocking.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. I think I mentioned something the other day, but did I ever dig up the link, or did you dig up the link for where the Safari content blocker was taking off a significant margin of profit from the ad trackers?
Yes, I think I added it to the notes for last week.
Cool. Yeah. Just related to that.
So I think we're good.
Was there a third, the cryptocurrency topic? It seemed like there were.
Well, there was the Kodak. Decided to at CES unveil their Bitcoin mining rig, and their stock price went from 3 and change to 10, just because they added the word blockchain or Bitcoin mining in their title. Although, oddly enough, you don't actually buy these miners from them; you rent them or lease them, if I'm reading the article correctly. And then you share whatever Bitcoin you gain 50-50 with Kodak. I don't know why anybody would. I'm sure I'm not understanding exactly what they're doing, but the bullet points do not look positive for Kodak there in my book. But hey,
well, I mean,
stock price went to 10, so sell.
Well, one of the guys at work that I was talking with at Empower last year is a miner and has mining machines, right? So the ant miner is the one that I think that you have to get. And actually, so maybe even it's worth saying that if you try to mine Bitcoin with even a regular GPU these days, you're never going to get anywhere. You have to have dedicated hashing hardware. So these,
and
ant
top
miners,
of the line stuff too.
I mean,
even the old ant miners or the old mining equipment is not cost effective,
right? Because they're literally playing with what's your price of energy.
Yeah.
If you're in a 6 cents per kilowatt hour region, then your return is going to be significantly better than if you're in a 8 or 9 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a little crazy.
Yeah.
But I looked into buying one, honestly. Now I'm not going to remember what it was. I want to say it was $1,500 for the ant miner. And again, gosh, I didn't expect to do this, and my keyboard's so loud I can't do it while we're talking here. But I want to say it did something on the order of 14 gigahashes or terahashes per second.
Well, my keyboard's not clicky, and so I just looked up the latest Antminer S9. It'll do 13.5 terahashes per second.
Terahashes.
$5,500.
Ooh. Is it actually available?
See, available March 1st. Wait, no.
Well, that's
January 15th. Oh, they're in batches and they're all sold out. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the time, Bitcoin was at 6K, and you couldn't actually buy one. That was the thing that you could pretty much try and get on the list, but you didn't know when you would get one. Clearly the price rose. I'm sure if you're manufacturing them, and you're better off just like sticking them in the garage and putting a fan blowing at them, maybe that's.
Or you're from Alaska, you move up to Nome, Alaska, and get free cooling.
Natural cooling, but the electricity price is probably not that great. I don't know what electricity costs in rural Alaska, but I don't suspect it's good. Although, gosh, now, oh my God, so many tangents. I remember now. I'm going to have to go look up this. There was a thing I was reading this was a couple years ago, about small contained nuclear reactors for rural Alaska. The sort of thing that you basically fit, I think, like effectively a 55-gallon drum, and it would generate enough electricity to power a town for 10 years or something like that. And they could just kind of put it in place. And I'll have to look up, see if those ever materialized. I suspect not, but it was a good theory.
That then people walk around with 3 eyeballs because that sounds very. A 55-gallon drum of nuclear.
I'm not saying it was in a literal 55-gallon drum. Yeah,
that's all right. Maybe that's what flew over Hawaii earlier this week.
That's all right. Yeah. All right, switch to user experience. So tell me, Eric, does user experience matter?
Why, yes, John. User experience is very important. Let's see. What could possibly happen if your UX is not that great?
Oh, so tell me what happened.
So, for those of you who haven't heard, in Hawaii last week, or was it earlier this week? Within the last week, in Hawaii, and one of the emergency personnel, employees in their emergency response center, I guess, went to initiate a test of the system, which is what his job is every day he starts his, when he comes to start his shift, his job is to test the system and verify that it works. Well, apparently, according to the news reports, there's 2 menu items, test missile alert, and then right below that is missile alert. And so instead of clicking the test missile alert, maybe he hadn't got his coffee yet that day, he clicked the missile alert. And boom, it sent there actually was apparently a "Are you sure?" button, as with any other. So apparently he clicked the "Are you sure?" and said, "Yeah, go ahead," and it sent out to all tourists and residents on cell phones, anybody that's registered to get emergency alerts. The televisions all went. With the scrolling messages, ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. And the current political climate, you're probably more likely to believe that than maybe you would have a couple of years ago. You might have double-checked that or blinked twice a few years ago. But anyways.
And why did it take 40 minutes for them to get a... Oops.
I don't know.
Did you hear anything? It seemed like it took a very long time, comparatively speaking.
Probably was one of those, I did the oops, oh crap, can I fix it? And so the guy who did the oops probably, or the person, I don't know, I don't think it says who it was exactly. The person who did the oops, spent 5 or 10 minutes trying to see if they could fix it themselves. And then said, oh, wait, I can't. And they escalate to their boss, or maybe their boss by that point had that alert on his phone and called into the office and says, we sure here? And then, of course, it rolled up through the bureaucracy. So I don't know.
I saw one of the 2 things that reminded me of. I mean, the first was that I saw a funny picture that said that, Slack has a much better warning notification. If you somebody had taken a picture of... in Slack, if you @ somebody, so if you do like @ everyone to a message, and so it had a nice little warning box that said, this is about to go out to, X number of people across Y time zones. Are you sure? So, providing more information about what's about to happen there was kind of the whole point there. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing is that, we did something similar. I think Travis actually did it in EPO about when you're changing policies, a feature that customers really, really wanted a lot of, and which we still I don't think we do a great job on, although we definitely give more info now, but is when you're about to change another policy assignment or something like that, it'll come in and say, this assignment is going to affect, 5,000 machines. Are you sure? And
right.
Giving that the sense of impact there is, a way to kind of help prevent some of the mistakes that we have experienced in the past with administrators who click think that I was just editing they didn't realize they were editing the production policy, or they didn't realize they were
right
assigning this to the root of the tree, or and you've experienced it too, where we have had customers then deploy software or deploy updates or deploy policies that aren't maybe compatible in some cases. So firewall policies is
right.
one that comes to mind. And
that's
to
a one-way policy.
Tens of thousands of systems, and
so very much UX matters.
I guess a thing that the way I think about that, and I think about it that way, and I've thought about it that way for a while, is that if you have a feature that isn't discoverable, or that a customer doesn't know about, or that a customer doesn't use, it's a net zero, or maybe even a negative that feature even exists. But if you can figure out a way to make that feature approachable, or make that feature usable to a larger subset of customers, it doesn't even have to be the full customer base, but if you can take a feature that's useful to, say, 50% of customers, but is only used by 10% of customers, and figure out a way to get that up and available or understandable to 30 or 40%, it's like making a whole new feature. As far as they're concerned, it's new functionality that they didn't have access to before. And the canonical example for me is obviously coming from like the EPO bent, and when you were on the EPO team too a long time ago, but queries, most customers don't write custom queries. They use queries out of the box that the products give, and the whole custom query system is kind of complicated to use, and it's really powerful, and I've used it to great effect, but I sure wish I had telemetry on how many people used custom queries. hint, hint, if anybody's listening to this in the future. But if redesigning that from a user experience perspective obviously has implications down into features, what APIs and stuff like that might need to be created as well in order to surface that. But it's exposing something that's really powerful to a far greater set of users. User experience matters.
Yes, so, it does.
I don't think we'll get to the third topic we might have talked about. So I'll actually give a story that I haven't really told that many people probably, but at a previous job that I was in, I had two pendulum swings that went from I did it really far wrong the first way, and then I did it really far wrong the other way the second time. And so I've hopefully got those two scars, and I'm try to balance it better. But the first one was, I was working on a project. This was a long time ago at this point, but for ticketing systems and ticketing system integrations with automated remediation, basically. And when we had done all this work for bidirectional integration with Remedy and Peregrine at the time, were the two main ticketing systems. And, we could update tickets, and anytime a ticket changed, we got notified, and it was all dynamic notification, and we could trap the notification, and if it was closed, then we could go and validate that, whatever it was that we had opened the ticket for was truly fixed. And, it was this whole sort of closed loop system. And we'd spent a couple of months actually getting it, quote unquote, working, but we had no UI. It was effectively, circa 1994 web UI, gray background, just basically a button that said go, it was, and just printing, basically just printing in raw HTML, not even formatted, no CSS, no nothing. It was just a gray page that had crap on it. And I, at one point in time, this executive kind of came through and was wondering what we were doing in the lab and asked for demos, and we showed him that. And I overheard as he had left the room, like, that was the worst demo I've ever seen. Those guys are losers. Effectively, he did not. That wasn't the exact language, but that was effectively what it was. We poured like a whole bunch of work into this, and it didn't come through because it had no UX. And so maybe a year and a half later, I was on a different project, and we were struggling with what to do for the project and how to do it. It was a big kind of re-architecture thing, and I kind of got frustrated, and this other guy and I kind of went down into a hole for like 2 weeks. Maybe it was 3 or 4 weeks, but it was just a short amount of time. I basically got tired of arguing and debating, and we built a UI. We built a beautiful UI, a UI that did everything that, not everything, but it looked functional. And in fact, it had basically what you would think of as a data access layer, where it got all the data that it was presented. But that data access layer just read and wrote to XML files. It basically just serialized stuff to disk. And, if you saved, you could open an item, type in some things in the fields, and then, hit save, and it would basically, it would just store it in a structured memory and then serialize it to XML as a layer. So there's no back end at all. It was pure, utter UI. We show it, and executives that were like, oh my gosh, this is what we need to do. Let's go build this. Now we have direction. And I was like, all right, awesome. Let's do it.
Ship it.
Ship it.
Ship it.
Unfortunately, the actual functionality for the whole application was really in the back end. and you, as much as you want to fake that out, you have to at some point actually go and do that implementation that actually works. And doing that actual implementation took about a year. and let's say the UI didn't improve a ton over the course of that year. Because we had really written most of the UI, that first, big burst of productivity for the UI side. And then it was just like, okay, this big slog of basically go implement all these APIs in this distributed, scalable, performant, sustainable, fault tolerant fashion, which is a lot of hard, heavy lifting work. And so, getting the right balance between not letting the UI get too far ahead, but really being able to show and visualize kind of, what the art of the possible is, and what you're doing, what you're going to do, and what you're going to be is really more of an art form than it is.
That reminds me, I'm sure the hot dog stand story of early days of EPO. Or
I do, but I'm not sure everybody. Yeah.
So that your story there reminded me of that one. I think it was myself and Matt Brinkley and Don Hansen, I think, at the time. We were working on what became MFS. It was called Orion at the time. And we were building out everything, and we had everything working really well. We had a back end pretty much working, and the UI was looking really good because we had built it all in components so that it was, you just had, you built the text box once, and then you just, it was easy to create new ones. And so we built a whole layer, and we were asked, we'd only been on it for a few months, and we were asked to do a demo. And in one of our short meetings, it was, this looks too good. They're going to want to accelerate the time schedule. I mean, it really did look and function well. So I said, well, hold on, hold my beer, hold my root beer. let me fix that problem. And I took the very nice, pretty UI, and I basically skinned it, which was another feature we had been tweaking with, to, you remember the old Microsoft Windows 3 hot dog stand theme, which is just obnoxious red and yellow, and the colors were horrible.
Clown colors.
And so we did the demo for the executive and showed it off, and He said, well, it works really great. The back end's working, but it looks like crap. You guys got to work on that. And quietly behind the scenes, we're like, mission accomplished.
Well done. You were much more mature than I was. I had to learn those lessons very, very hard. Somebody learned them earlier than me.
That was, yeah. We'd learned those same lessons earlier on other projects. So once you're scarred, you're scarred. And
that's right. All right. Shall we call it a night?
I was thinking we should just take microphones with us when we go to lunch. Because this sure sounds like one of our lunch conversations.
It pretty much is. Yeah. Well,
all right.
That's what it is. Well, maybe Carl will come on next week. We were kind of hoping to get Carl this week, but
yes, to chat Meltdown Inspector.
All right, next week.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
We'll see you, John.
Have a good night. See you, Eric.
Bye.